Good morning from sagebrush country in the middle of Idaho's Snake River Plain. This vast plain crosses all of southern Idaho. It's where the interstate goes. There's a couple of north-south paved roads, but it's a lot of country, and there's a big chunk of it east of Craters of the Moon where there are no paved roads, only BLM dirt roads to transect. So we're going to go explore that. Go from Minidoka north up to Arco, about 70 miles. Let's go figure out what's out here. Invite you to ride along. Here's a cleared field in the rocky sagebrush. Just wanted to show you how much work it is to get all the rocks out of these fields. There's some small piles of rocks. You'll see that when they cleared the field, they just dragged these rocks into piles. But this is what caught my attention. Look at this pile right next to the road here. Somebody went to a lot of work to clear that field out of rocky sagebrush. Spring in sagebrush country brings a lot of grazing, a lot of cows. If you're a grazer, you poop a lot. And they're not very discriminatory where they poop, so you'll see it on the roads a lot. And they have laid a good trail of landmines here. This one will be a little hard to avoid. And often they won't even stop to poop, so you'll see just trails of poop just go across the road. Anyway, see if we can navigate that one. Well, it's a butte, a little one. It has a marker on it. Let me go check it out. But I was gazing at the sign for the butte, and I'll be danged if I can make out what that's supposed to be. Stesco or something, and I think it's given the elevation 22 something, but it's been well abused. In a lot of ways, it's a pretty featureless landscape. You know, in other words, it looks a lot the same. And they've built markers on a lot of these little buttes. I think back in the day, sheep herders, others would put a marker on them, and you can see them from quite a distance, so it helps kind of give you a frame of reference. And that one's been perched on by a lot of birds who've pooped all over it, but these are kind of fun to see in this landscape. This is the site of the Bighgam Point Trapper Cabin. That's what they call it on the map. And kind of back in this little rock cove, you can see there's not much left of it. But let's go see what's left here. I think this was the original footprint. See a little bit of a foundation there. And a little bit of an old chimney of some kind. Maybe that was a root cellar in it of some kind, I'm not sure. But that's pretty much all that's left. But it's a nice little cove. It's protected from the wind. That is the direction of the prevailing wind there, and that's about 25 feet high, so that would block the wind, which would be nice. So kind of cool. You really need to get over this lava. You could drive over it. No, I'd rather not. It's not that far, so I'm gonna walk it. Let's go see what this island of vegetation looks like. I'm in this big kipuka now, and it's a big one. And it's nothing really special in terms of it still has been grazed by cattle. So it's big sage and grass like where I just came from. There is something really interesting going on here. There's some disease going on in this big sage. They're covered by this rust-colored lichen-looking thing. And I'm not sure what that is. I'm going to try and look that up. If I can find something out, I'll put a label here. But this basin, this kipuka, has a lot of this unhealthy sagebrush going on. You can see that rust-colored hue across that whole bottomland of it. Interesting. See that? It looks just like an onion, and that's because it is. That's a wild onion right there. Tempted to pick a few of those for my dinner tonight. I've found multiple piles of elk droppings in this kipuka, so they do use it during some season of the year. I was admiring the size of the big sage next to this lava wall, which is about 30 feet tall. I'd come over and check it out. I'll show it to you. It's kind of in a little protected nook here where it gets extra moisture coming off that lava rock and protected from fire. These are about 10 feet tall. Kind of a cool little cove in here. You start exploring lava flows, and there's endless variety of cracks and rifts and caves and all kinds of little nooks and crannies to poke in. You can explore to your heart's content. I'm walking back out this really primitive road that went over this lava reef. And it'd be pretty rough in some places. I mean, it's definitely doable. It's just not very long. Could see beating the truck up, drive this little bit. This kind of stuff's hard on tires, though. You gotta get good tires if you're gonna tackle it. Standing right on the kind of highest point of this lava reef between the regular rangeland over there and the kipuka over there, so it's separating that. If you looked at this from the air on the imagery, it'd be quite dark. It'd look almost like a lava flow. Yeah, these Snake River lava flows are really not that old in the grand scheme of things. Some are 2,000 years old. Those are the youngest. Some of the oldest are about 15,000 years old, and quite a few in the middle. A good indicator of how old the lava flow is how well developed the vegetation is on it. So this is like a medium aged lava flow. This is about a 6,000 or 7,000 year old one. You can see the shrubs are pretty well developed on it. But again, they're really obvious from space. I'll show you an example of that. Here's the rough little climb. I decided just better to park and walk on this one. But I also just wanted to show you in the distance, you can see those rock cairn markers. They have them a lot out here, the top of any high little prominent point, again to help with orientation and navigation. What is a pretty flat landscape overall. Admiring this water system way out here. It's got some name that's been ravaged. I can't tell what that's supposed to say. A couple of propane tanks. They've drilled a well. Pump station there would run off the propane. A couple of storage tanks over here. What impressed me the most is the drive-through way you can load water in your truck. So keep these storage tanks full. And look at this over here. You can drive your truck through the ravine, pull up to this pipe you've got sticking out there. That feeder pipe on the end, you put in your water tank and fill her up and go on your way. Even comes with some ready-made leaks in it, a tub to keep a little fresh water here all the time. I like it. Bear Trap Cave, essentially a really long lava tube. Let's go down in there and check it out just a little bit. So there's an old write-up about Bear Trap Cave. A lava tube that goes for almost 15 miles. So they think it's about 15,000 years old. Anyway, there's one more. Let's look at it. Here's an updated description of Bear Trap Cave. They say it's only about 150 feet here, but it's part of a 15-mile lava tube. So let's take a little closer look here in the mouth of it. What's amazing, you only go down about 20 to 30 feet. It's amazing how cool it is in these lava tubes. And I disturbed a falcon in here. You can probably hear in the background. It's pretty unhappy with me. It's probably nesting. We're just going to go in a little bit. See, it's been pretty wet down in here. See a lot of mud. See some water. Let's go back and look a little further in there. Speaking of how cool it is in here, look at this. I'll tap my foot on it. That's ice. Yeah, it's quite cool down here. We'll go just a titch further because I'm walking on ice now. You can see it maybe going back in there. Camera only light up about 30 feet, but I can still go in it, seeing it going way back in there. Really cool. Look in the other direction. You can see the entrance I walked in there. It's really remarkable how, again, cool and quiet it is down in here. Been going through this crested wheatgrass grassland for a mile or two, and I can see it continues several miles more. I was just really enjoying the view. Those of you who watch my videos, I've talked about this before. One of the sagebrush country things I love the most is the space and the view. You get towards late evening time like this, the angle the sun gets down, there's a lot of clouds still. Isn't that gorgeous? Just really enjoying that. Just one side note as I was enjoying this wide open grassland is there, it's an old burn, so it was reseeded with crested wheatgrass, but look at that, sagebrush is coming back, so that's good to see. So it's raining, not too hard. This country has a lot of clay in it, so you don't want a lot of rain. It makes the roads real slick. So I'm hoping for the sweet spot of enough rain to settle the dust, but not too much. The roads get slick, so I'll let you know how it turns out. This is the last hill I was coming up, and this was fairly early in the rain. You can see squishiness of my tracks. So it was time to stop. Well, there's the rainbow after the rain. Turns out it rained about, I don't know, an hour and a half, which is a pretty good rain for this country. So my hope of not getting enough rain to make it slick didn't happen. It got slick towards the end pretty well. So I couldn't make much progress without really tearing the road up. So here's my strategy. I posted up on this ridge here. You look, that's really rocky, so no problem hanging out there on the ridge. We'll do that for the night. See the sun setting here. We'll just hope we don't get any more rain overnight and then have to let that road dry out a little bit, head out in the morning. I'll let you know how it turns out. Well, good morning. A good night's sleep. Hour and a half of sun, a little breeze now. Things really start to dry off pretty quickly, and these roads have dried off nicely and just driven on this one. And so now, don't have to deal with any dust and ready to be on our way. One interesting thing about these roads out here is there's very few straight stretches. There's so many of these basaltic outcroppings of rock that they're threading the road through these outcroppings all the time. So there's hardly ever a straight stretch. It's kind of actually fun to drive because you're just kind of back and forth and in and out. And so here's one of the main roads going across north-south. And often these are big, long, straight roads. But in this country here, they're weaving in and out again as they avoid these rocky outcrops. You see another one right in front of me that it's threading the needle through. So anyway, kind of an interesting little unique characteristic of these Snake River roads. Beautiful morning. Smells good out here, but not as good as it would smell. There was a lot of sagebrush. I only see a couple individuals over here. Nothing like the smell of sagebrush after it's been wet by rain. I expected to see more large tracts of sagebrush, but this is an old burn here. And a lot of grass. Looks like needle and thread over there, and a couple of big Great Basin wild rye individuals. Hear the birds around me. And a lot of rabbit brush. That's this green shrub here. Usual indicator of disturbance. Oh, it's been disturbed by fire. Unfortunately, I see tumbleweed too here and there, which is again comes in after disturbance. See it right there. Some more right there. Other than that, a lot of grass, which is good, and it's being used. It's being grazed by not only sheep, which I've shown you, but cattle as well. Mountains in the distance. It's where I'm headed. We'll keep on trucking. This is usually not a big deal. This landscape is so vast. This is the first fence I've encountered in, I don't know, maybe 30 miles. So that's really interesting. Spent a lot of time in going through some old burns, but back in the sagebrush again. Still a few puddles on the road here and there from that rain, so making my way carefully. Okay, I'm coming up on what's called Quaking Aspen Butte. You can see it there. You know, and as a vegetation guy, first question in my head is, well, I wonder if there's quaking aspen up there. Of course, they're not visible from a distance. Roads are still a little damp, but hey, if I can get close enough, let's go find out. No aspen yet. I showed you driving up to it. From a distance it looked like maybe stunted aspen, but it's chokecherry shrubs. We'll keep looking. So this is the top of Quaking Aspen Butte. There is an old post of some kind, looks like was in the ground once upon a time, but that's all there is now. So here's the view from the top of Quaking Aspen Butte. It's a beautiful view. Really enjoyed looking around up here for aspen, but didn't see a single one. So, it's hard to tell if there were a few aspen back in the day, but I'm speculating they were looking at these chokecherry patches, maybe from a distance, and that's where it got its name. They were calling them aspen. But while I was here, it was fun to have this view of the mountains to the north, the Pioneers, the Lost Rivers, the Limhis, just some great mountain ranges there to the north. And then over to the east of me was this big butte here, which goes up over 7,000 feet and has lodgepole on it. And then just looking back towards the south, this is the way I came. So anyway, glad I hiked up here. It was a great view.